What's happening? It's Sir William, and today we're talking about tires, specifically the Goodyear DuraTrac RT. Let's get into it. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. I'm Will, and this is Apple, my 2015 Toyota 4Runner, and for almost 10 years now, we've been wheeling and overlanding all across the United States and Mexico. And for the past 3 years, I've been living right here in the back of Apple as I travel full-time around the US and Mexico. Over the years, I've put over 230,000 of what some would consider to be the hardest miles ever put on one of these platforms as I've traveled all around the US and multiple different overlanding and off-road trails. If you want to check out some of those adventures, be sure to go check out some of the other videos on my channel. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to run various different brands, types, and sizes of tires, and I've put multiple different tire reviews together on my channel as well, so be sure to go check those out. Now, in a perfect world, I wait until I get 40 to 50,000 miles on a tire before I give you my opinion, because I think 40 to 50,000 miles is the proper lifespan for a set of tires. Typically what you see on YouTube is a guy will get a brand new set of tires, he'll go run a few tests, and then he'll give you his initial opinion. And in my opinion, I just don't think that that is a proper indication of how good or bad a tire is. You have to be able to see the tire throughout its entire lifespan to get a really good feel for the tire. This particular review will be an exception. You see, the folks over at Goodyear saw one of my other reviews, and they recently reached out to me and asked if I would give them my initial opinions on the Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrac RT. I agreed to do this only if I could give my honest opinion and keep the tires for at least 10,000 miles prior to making the review, so they did send these tires out for me to test out. Now, just like in other reviews, that in no way, shape, or form is going to sway my opinion, and I'm still going to tell you my honest feedback, the good, the bad, the ugly, what I like about the tire, what I dislike about the tire, and if I would recommend the tire for you based off of the 10,000 miles that I've put on it so far. Now, I'm still going to do a long-term review on these tires as well, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications, as I hope to get somewhere around that 40 to 50,000 miles with these tires. Now, just like in other reviews before, I'm going to rank these tires on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, on the various different surfaces that I've had the opportunity to drive on. In previous videos, I was able to give you a broad overview of the various different surfaces based off of the many thousands of miles that I put on the tire. So this is going to be a little bit different in the sense that I'm going to go specifically out seeking surfaces to test the tire on. Whereas before, I wasn't necessarily going out and specifically testing the tire. I was just going out and using the tire. This particular time, I was able to actually go out on various different surfaces and specifically test the tire to see how it handled and to be able to give you guys my ranking. For this review, I'm running the Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrac RTs in a 285/70/17 with a load range of E, and this is a very popular tire size for the 5th gen Toyota 4Runner that I'm running it on. The load range E is a nice, strong, stout tire, and it should give me enough strength to hold up to the abuse that I plan on putting it through. And the 285/70/17 is a roughly 33-inch tall tire that's a little bit wider than stock. Now, I've run this tire size before, and I like this tire size, although my favorite tire size, I must admit, for this platform is a skinny 33-inch tire, and that is a 255/80/17. But we're not going to get into the weeds in that. Let's talk about the first surface that I tested it on. The very first surface I have to talk about is a very important surface, and that is pavement. Ultimately, no matter what rig you put these on, you're probably going to spend 80 to 90% of your time on the pavement, so that is a very important indicator of how good a tire is. Pavement is a very, very low priority to me because I'm much more interested in the durability, the strength, and the off-road performance of a tire whenever I'm considering a new tire for Apple. Pavement's also a low priority to me because Apple has 230,000 hard miles on her. She's been beat on. She's a dedicated off-road overlanding rig, and she makes noises driving down the road. So my opinion of the on-road performance and your opinion of the on-road performance and the priority of which they fall in may be completely different. It doesn't matter what type of tires you put on Apple, she's just not going to ride smooth and quiet down the road. With that said, I must give the Goodyear DuraTrac RT an 8 out of 10 ranking on pavement, and let me tell you why. The DuraTrac RT is a heavy feeling tire. It feels like it's got much more rotational mass than some of the other all-terrain tires that I've tested in the past in the same exact size. The Goodyear DuraTrac RT is designed to be an aggressive all-terrain tire, but not quite as aggressive as a mud terrain tire. Think of it as like a hybrid tire. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I am not a big fan of these hybrid tires that these manufacturers are coming out with. In my opinion, I think that you should get an all-terrain tire if you want it to be good on most all terrains, or you should get a mud terrain tire if you want to be good in the mud. At any rate, I digress. This is designed to be kind of the best of both worlds. And with that being said, it's designed to perform like an all-terrain tire does on the highway, but perform a little bit better in the muddy, mucky conditions that you often find off-road, and still be really strong off-road like a mud terrain tire would be. The Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrac RT is a heavy feeling tire on the road. It just feels like it's got more rotational mass to it than some of the other all-terrain tires that I've tested in the same exact size. Also, I told you that Apple makes all sorts of different types of noises riding down the road, so it doesn't matter what type of tire I ride on, it's not going to be 100% smooth. Now, these particular tires are pretty smooth, but I do notice a little bit more road noise out of these tires than I've noticed out of all terrains and even the mud terrains that I've tried in the past. They do make a little bit more of a roar. Now, as far as traction goes, they do fine. They have great traction in dry, great traction in wet, and there's no problems there. And I assume with this siping and stuff like that, it's going to perform well in the snow. Likely, though, I'll never see any snow on these. So in my opinion, the Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrac RT is an 8 out of 10 whenever it comes to pavement. The first dedicated test for these tires I wanted to run was in sand. Loose, deep, fine sand. Think of like a beach or a sand dune. And for this surface, I usually run anywhere between 7 to 10 PSI of air pressure. And man, what better place to do that than just outside of Winoka, Oklahoma at Little Sahara State Park, aka Baby Glamis. Let's hit the dunes. So Little Sahara State Park is commonly referred to as Baby Glamis because it is like an uber small version of the Glamis sand dunes. And there's only about, I think, 5 or 6 different sand dunes across the US in which you can drive on. Little Sahara is cool because it's got all kinds of trails that you can get kind of lost off into the woods, and they're all filled with sand. So it's a pretty cool little test for these tires. Again, you have to be very careful whenever you're out here, though, because it does get really busy. They actually have a snake hunt, a rattlesnake hunt that goes on every year out here, too, which is pretty cool. But, man, these tires are doing good. They're just floating right along in this stuff. This is some pretty deep sand, too. Very nice. All right, well, going down sand hills seems to be pretty easy enough. Let's start from a standstill at the bottom of this hill and try to go up it. See how she does. Now, I've been going up some pretty steep hills all day long, but this one without any running start is going to be pretty difficult. All right, well, that one seemed easy enough. Let's try this one. I'm gonna come down, turn around, and then go up it. It's a lot better driving it than climbing it. Oh, not enough on that one. Get a little momentum to get up it. And about 10, 15. And as you can see, she climbs right up it. Another cool test is, let's see how bad she wants to slide sideways. Honestly, not nearly as bad as I thought. That's pretty good. The Goodyear DuraTrac RTs did phenomenal in the sand, and realistically I want to give it a 10 out of 10 ranking, but I'm hesitant to because I have not had these tires long enough to give a proper long-term review, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 whenever it comes to sand. The Wrangler DuraTrac RTs did not dig down into the sand to where I got stuck. They were able to catch grip really good, they caught traction really good, and overall it just felt really nice floating across the sand with these tires. The next test I want to put these tires through is rocks. And I'm not talking about small rocks, I'm talking about big rocks, boulders even. The types of rocks that you find on dedicated off-roading trails all across the country. For this surface, I typically run anywhere between 15 and 20 PSI of air pressure. And what better place to do that than this 40-mile loop north of Phoenix through the Sonoran Desert with my buddy Mark. Now obviously, his ride's just a little bit more souped up than mine, but I think we're still gonna have a good time. Let's roll. Man, I tell you what, every time I go wheeling with guys like Mark that have these crawlers, these old Toyota crawlers, it makes me want one so bad. These things are just like little tractors, dude. They go up and over anything and everything you point them at. Apple's awesome as an all-around vehicle, but these old school Toyota rock crawlers just make me envious every time. Slow, slow, slow. Here you go. Now you're down, just keep that line straight. I gotta get away from this rock. It's about to pinch the tire off the bead.
Okay.
I can hear the air coming out of it. I like turned into it and it said shh.
Should be good.
Manual wheeling. On the rocks, I'm gonna have to give the Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrac RTs a 7 or 8 out of 10. I'm still undecided as I haven't had them long enough to really make a solid choice. In the short amount of time that I did test them out on the rocks, I have noticed that they don't catch grip on the rocks quite as good as some of the other tires that I've tried in the past, to include all-terrain tires. One of the ways that I was able to determine this is Apple is actually equipped with a traction aid called 𝐴𝑇RAC, and what 𝐴𝑇RAC does is essentially detects any wheel slip on any of the 4 wheels and applies the brakes to that wheel independently to send power to the other wheels. Every time this happens, it makes a noise in the cab. I noticed that happen a whole lot more with the Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrac RT. Also, whenever I'm going up climbs and different things like that, I notice that the wheels just slip a little bit more. I'm anxious to see how these tires perform in the long term, but as of right now, I'm gonna have to give them a 7 or 8 out of 10 when it comes to rocks. The next surface I'm going to talk about is dirt and gravel roads. Think of a finely graded dirt road, Forest Service road, the road leading up to your favorite campsite or trailhead. These are the roads that I spend 80% of my time on whenever I'm off-road. Typically, these roads are long distances and higher speeds for me, and I run anywhere between 25 and 30 PSI on these roads. On this surface, I've got to give the Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrac RT an 8 or 9 out of 10, and I'd like to give it higher. I just can't because I don't know the longevity of this tire. I've only had it for 10,000 miles. Typically what I've found with this type of surface on other tires is as the tire ages, it likes to cut and chip and break the little lugs on there, and you don't see that until after you've got a pretty significant amount of miles, some more so than others. For instance, the Toyo Open Country RT Trails that I had did this really bad at only 20,000 miles, which in my mind is unacceptable, whereas the all-terrain tires that I've tested in the past and the mud terrain tires that I've tested in the past have all done this at somewhere around 40 or 50,000 miles. If these start chipping and cutting and breaking at 40 or 50,000 miles, then I would consider that a really good tire, and I would give this tire a 10 out of 10 on gravel and dirt roads. It handles extremely well on those gravel and dirt roads, and I actually find that it is a lot more stable at higher speeds around corners and does not lose traction like the other tires that I've tested in the past. So again, if this tire lasts for 40 or 50,000 miles and does not start cutting and chipping before then I would give this tire a 10 out of 10 on the dirt and gravel roads. Now with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the conditions of these tires after 10,000 miles and all the different tests that I put them through. Starting up here at the driver's front, you can see that it's a good looking tire. It's not really chipping, it's not really cutting, it's not really breaking, it's not really scuffing too bad. It looks like a really good conditioned tire. Basically the same can be said for the driver's rear tire. You do see a little bit more scuffing and a little bit more cutting on this tire, and that's simply because it's the drive tire, so it's going to see just a little bit more wear, as sometimes I am traveling on those dirt and gravel roads at higher speeds and two-wheel drive, so it is more susceptible to wear. But it looks good. Moving on to the right rear over here, same can be said. There's a little bit of scuffing, a little bit of cutting, not too bad, not any significant chipping or anything like that. Again, this does get the brunt of the wear as it is the drive tire, but you can see some of that scuffing on there. It doesn't look bad though. looks good. And last but not least, the passenger front tire up here is looking good. No significant scuffing, no significant cupping or chipping or anything like that. Everything's looking as it should be for a 10,000 mile tire with some abuse on it. Looking good. Overall, after 10,000 miles, I'm going to give the Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrac RT a 7 out of 10 rating. And I would give it a little higher rating had I had more time with this tire. But with 10,000 miles on it, I really can't get a real good grasp of how well this tire is going to perform in the long run. It does phenomenal in the dirt and gravel roads that I spend 80 to 90% of my time overlanding on. Though over the course of time, I'm anxious to see how it's going to perform at 20,000, 30,000, 40, and 50,000 miles, hopefully with proper maintenance and care. Most tires, once you get up in age like that, they start to cut and chip real bad. Some tires do it before others, so I'm anxious to see how the DuraTracs hold up through that style of driving. While the DuraTrac performed really good on sand, it leaves a little bit to be desired on the big rocks, and on the pavement it performs just like a mud terrain tire, even giving me the lower fuel economy that a mud terrain tire typically gives. Speaking of mud, it's yet to be seen how good the Goodyear DuraTracs do in the mud. Also haven't been able to run them in snow yet, so only time will tell. With that being said, I cannot in good faith give you a solid recommendation to get these tires or to stay away from these tires for your rig, just because I simply haven't had enough time with them. I hope that you guys understand that, and I hope that you guys got a good bit of information from this initial review of the Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrac RTs. If you like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more like it, and until next time, you guys keep hanging in there like a hair on a biscuit, and remember, you can be happy if you've a mind to. Peace, y'all.